Hello everyone and welcome to my kitchen. So spring is not quite sprung here in Istanbul. It's still quite cold and rainy, but slowly you're starting to see the first signs of spring. One of those is as you walk through the bazaars and past the fruit sellers, you start to notice certain products, especially wild greens. So these are the first things that poke their head out of the ground in the spring, and they're a lot of fun to eat, especially after a long winter. So today I have a special treat for you. A wild green called Hodan. I've seen videos referring to this as ispit and kaldırık as well. It's called borage in English. It's a wild green, so it can't be cultivated, but it's very common throughout the Mediterranean basin. I even found recipes for this in Catalonian cuisine. Here, it's especially famous in the Black Sea region in the north of Turkey. I bought this particular Hodan from a fruit seller that specializes in products from Kastamonu, which is north of Ankara along the Black Sea coast. He said that it's an ingredient that is found in pretty much any home in Kastamonu. They cook it up and freeze it, and then it's ready to bring out whenever you have guests. So I'll walk you through how to prepare it and how to cook it and a bit of what it tastes like. Let's get started. So first, let's take a closer look. So you see here that the plant is divided into three parts, pretty much. Here you have the root. Here you have the leaf. Usually you have two leaves growing, and then you have the flowers, the buds. So they grow on separate stalks. As it grows longer, you'll have the leaves develop fully. When they're fully developed, they can also be used to make sarma, or stuffed leaves. Pretty much any leaf that has more consistency than spinach, so stronger leaves like chard, for example, or kale, are used for stuffed leaves, not just grape leaves here. Then you have the bud, of course. What you want to do is you want to use slightly younger plants. So this one, you can see none of the flowers have opened up yet, which means it's good. This one, however, is still good. You've got the flowers much more prominent and open here. That means that it's older, it's further along. This one you still have some unopened buds, so it's totally fine to use, but you want to avoid ones where all of the buds have opened up. But take a look at that. Isn't that beautiful? You have this beautiful curled shape of the leaves, but the flowers, once they come out, are a very brilliant purple. So to prepare these, what we're going to do is we're going to cut them up and wash them very thoroughly. It's a wild foraged green after all. And then first we boil them, and then we saute them, usually with onions. Really smells like spring in here. A combination of the cut grass and the freshness of the greens with a little bit of lemon. So as you can see, I've cut it into relatively even pieces. The stems will cook slower than the leaves, so they can be a bit smaller. I've trimmed off the ends, any dirtier leaves or the oxidized ends, of course. But they were pretty clean when I got them. Then I let it sit in baking soda and water for a while, put in a lemon as well to keep it from oxidizing just as a precaution, and rinsed it 3 times to make sure it's nice and clean. Some people say it will also stain your fingers. I didn't really have much of an issue, but I'm not preparing a huge amount. Next steps, I've diced some onion to saute it. We're going to blanch it in some boiling water, and then saute it in olive oil with some onion. And take a look at these charming flowers that it leaves behind. And then you're going to take the greens and add it to some salted boiling water to blanch for a couple of minutes until the stems are nice and tender. It's getting steamy. So once it's cooked for a bit, you can try one of the stems, either press it between your fingers and see if it has some give, or give it a cheeky taste. And then you're gonna take it out of the boiling water and into the fire with some sauteed onions as the final touch. Right, so now we're done. We're good to go. And the moment of truth. So let's give it a try. Of course, I've tried it before, but for the video. So, it's quite nice. It needs the onion because it's quite a mild green. It reminds me of nettles, if you've ever had nettles before. It's got a bit of a slimy consistency like okra, and it's got the fresh green taste. Of course, it looks a bit like fresh broccoli as well. but it's very, very mild, a little creamy, a nice consistency, and super fresh. A really refreshing thing to have at the beginning of spring. So once you've salted and seasoned it to your liking, there's a bunch of different things you can do with this. So you can take this and cool it down and freeze it immediately, and then bring it out and thaw it. Heat it up when you have some guests from Kastamonu. I've seen people stir in some corn flour as well for a little more consistency. You can serve this on a bed of thick yogurt with some Turkish red pepper flakes and olive oil for a really nice meze. It also goes great in börek, stuffed pastries, or gözleme, which is kind of like a Turkish flatbread or a Turkish quesadilla. So, there you have it. Thanks for watching. Spring in Turkey is a magical time, full of some pretty amazing produce and other wonderful things to eat. So there'll be plenty of videos coming. Stay tuned. If you live in Turkey, have you tried this? What other wild greens have you heard of and tried, and what are your favorites? Let me know where I can find them, and maybe I'll make a video about them in the future. If you're not in Turkey, does your country have something similar? Would you eat this if you could? Until the next video, happy eating!